was $400.
So we said about $400 million.
I'm thinking so. It's been a couple years since we had that project.
We done 150 one time, and I forget exactly what the price was, but we got it, we find that.
45.
Yeah, so.
And I guess that comparing that to the replacing the lines, is that, for some reason, the number $55 per foot sounds like something that we had discussed about a year ago.
Slip line, what's that one?
It slipped the money, it was very close to the entire replacement cost, if I'm not mistaken. So,
I think it was like $30,000 to do it Green Street. From the bottom of Green Street up past the church.
We had a building and we had to do that.
Yeah.
One bid was like 22,000, the other bid was like 4,000 to do the same work.
Flip line?
I think it was a smaller line, it wasn't the size line that you're talking about. But I'm just saying there's a price variation potentially depending on whether somebody thinks they got you and can gouge you. So that's where you go to the price.
And we did it from the fire department too, because that was a high traffic area and we couldn't dig up the road. It was pretty expensive too. You don't have to do that always, like if it's in a field or, you know, it's not in the area, then you dig it up and replace it.
And didn't I hear that say that we have 400,000 in fund balance?
So we have about 400,000 in cash right now. You know, we pay off the loan, that takes us down to about 250.
So that 400 includes the future debt payoff, you've already calculated it. I would think if you said you had 400,000 in fund balance right now, and you're talking about a budget coming up that had 181,000 for future
In addition,
debt, that would be an
we
additional.
have in addition to that, yes, sir.
It's
So I projected, like, roughly we're looking at 160.
plus
That,
400.
well, yeah, well, if we went ahead and paid off the loan right now, that gets back to about, 400, 410 a year from now.
I still like the concept. From what I've heard, we don't have any urgent plans that have been put out on the table, so I like the concept of paying it off, and then if something comes up, we deal with it and take it out of the fund balance. Or we loan it, as we've obviously done before.
We could possibly put that on the agenda. Not sure if we can get it on next month, but at least the following month.
I'm not even sure we need to be an agenda item.
Check with David and see.
I will, and, if it needs to be around next.
I think we could set a plan in place, and then if it takes council action to do it, it could be done in September.
It's not gonna hurt
That's-
Irregardless,
Or
just a
month or two.
process to get it done.
I mean, that's my thing. I don't know how it-
You guys have any opinion?
Well, it seems to me if we pass it as part of the budget, it should be not have to take an additional step of the meeting.
We're talking about the payoff of the loan.
Yeah.
It would not even require, it wouldn't be a budget item.
Or not.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just, I don't even know, I don't even know if it, since it's already out there as a due to, due from,
Okay.
just as a matter of information, that just be paid, it just be done with it. And no regular action to be required.
Do you guys go along with that?
Of course, now we've got to decide how much we're going to, of the 181, we're going to pay versus these three proposals.
And like I said, if you look at, let's begin with model one. And, we're looking at 160 on the budgetary basis. And basically, most of that will go towards paying off the loan.
Is the loan about 150?
is 156. And so from a cash standpoint, on this time next year, we'll be about the same where we are right now.
But that would go on the principal side to offset your depreciation,
Actually, no.
or it doesn't.
Yeah, this is one of the anomalies of the interfund loan. It's already listed, it's not gonna show up anywhere on here. It's just gonna show up on the cash flow statement and the balance sheet, it's gonna be a wash in there.
And the loan was, what did you say, 157?
156.
Do we see any opportunities for increased revenues?
I called the big, our typical big customers, and they don't see any change in their process or what they're anticipating their business being in the upcoming year. So we're looking at pretty much a stable volume from the big 10, and that's about a third of our revenue. In regards to any other housing developments, everything else, I don't know anything that gives me optimism for revenue increases.
The only thing I can think of that possibly increase revenues, I don't think it'd have much of an impact on this coming year. Rutherfordton Water Authority is looking seriously at replacing all of the water meters on their system with a radio frequency read meter. And if everything goes according to plan, that should eliminate a lot of old meters that probably aren't functioning properly. And my understanding is if a meter doesn't function properly, it doesn't overread and underreads. But now whether or not that would get done in time to have any significant impact on us at all, I don't know.
I still haven't heard, like after 15 years, is a meter getting 97% of the actual flow. I still want to get that number, but I haven't heard that.
As they go to that, are they going to that electronic reader, are they going to encode your account information for identity theft purposes, to keep that from happening, keep somebody else from riding down the road and picking those,
Swiping out your meter.
picking up the meter and then have your account number, which if they don't have something embedded at the waterworks, they're going to be able to get your name and address and anything else you've ever given.
They haven't got that far in the discussions.
So I hope they don't implement it until they do that, because it's just foolish to implement it and not having some coding to keep somebody from stealing this information.
I mean, I think it'd be as simple as the thing just reads, okay, this is meter 4. And it doesn't know who meter 4 is until they take it back and download it into the system.
However, they guard against identity theft. I've read, like for instance, where towns have put that in place to find out that somebody's come in and read the meters and got all the information they have about that individual that the waterworks group had ever captured, which would be at least your name, address, telephone numbers, and away you go.
But anyway, I don't think that system would be implemented in time to have a significant impact on revenues next year. But if it does eventually result in increased water usage, then obviously our sewer usage comes directly from what they do. So, long term, it's good.
So we're really looking at is how fast we want to start building the farm. If you want to consider the increase for 13, 14.
My biggest thing, and I think I said this last time, is, I hate revenue, but I also hate the thought of neglecting a small incremental increase and then having to do a big huge one because we have that's taking into account issues we've got with LGC problems, and maybe not go the whole way, but at least let them know we're moving in the right direction, so that we don't have, issues with them wanting to take over our system, or, penalizing us in any way, or things like that, so.
Oh, I know that if we do participate in the county study, that will come up with some expenses that we don't know yet. We'll have to consider.
So, I think we have to address some of these issues, knowing kind of what's coming down the road, what Keith needs to do.
And I'm not sure, $400,000, you look at an operation budget like $700,000, I think $400,000 in fund balance is pretty good. But when you get into replacing lines, it doesn't take long to blow through that pretty quick.
That's just manholder cabinet, so we did that.
Here's the thing. How much do we replace on an annual basis? The bar screen's a perfect example. You say, well, we need depreciation because sometime other equipment's gonna wear out and we have to replace it. Well, we are replacing it, and we're paying for it with some of these funds.
We're paying for
You can't pay for it as you go and put it in the bank and save it at the same time.
Essentially, we're paying for it this time with the loan payment. Because we spent about, we freed up about 170 in loan payments this year, and about 120 was going from capital. So that's kind of where, that does allow a lot of those things to happen along the way. And those do get reflected in here as far as what we are able to capitalize.
Well, the point is, what if something like that happens every year? And you replace a mile of lines this year, and you replace a lift station next year.
So,
I mean, we're using our depreciation just like a business would replace worn out equipment. So how can the state expect you to keep building a larger and larger fund balance if you're replacing your equipment as you go?
well, if you're, I don't know if they're necessarily wanting us to make sure that we're building an incredible amount of reserves. I think they're wanting to make sure that we're basically covering our depreciation. Basically just to say that, your bar screen's gonna last 10 years. So you should be having some money set aside, or at least washing that out, by the capital that you are replacing, at that, as you go along. So, it's not a big push for them to build huge reserves up there, realizing that, we're looking, we're not having to pay the whole $250,000 in depreciation in 1 year. We might need to either be taking bites out of it, of that capital that needs to get the aged capital, replacing that out, sort of as you go along. And, bar screens are relatively easy, and that it's a one-shot, one location deal. When you're looking at the sewer lines, it gets complex because there's just so much of it. It's an ongoing process, and really to try to break that up into chunks as far as making this a sizable enough project to make it worthwhile to break dirt and get a contractor out there. That's where some of the larger amounts of reserves are going to come into play and be important for us.
Stan, what I hear him say is that for depreciation in the state, and I may be wrong, so I need this clarified if it's not. If you replace a worn out piece of equipment for $50,000, in terms of the states, that's just as good as putting $50,000 in the savings account to displace it later. That's why I was asking if we had any critical capital needs, because before we decide we will pay off all of our debt, if we have a piece of equipment that's capital critical, I was going to say, let's look at purchasing that and then reduce the amount of debt we pay off, maybe do it over 2 or 3 years. But if we don't have anything that we know of that needs to be replaced, I'd say pay it off and we'll deal with the bad piece of equipment when it comes out.
We do have a pump station that's got some age on it, it's working good, but it's got some age on it, the one on Charlotte Road. from the bank. And it could need pumps, but it's running good, but I'm just saying that's something that could happen.
And if it does, then we've got, either we can go back to the town and borrow it from the town, or we can take it out of fund balance, to pay for it.
Because the design of the well, and that's still good.
The well's good, it was
It's
just
just
big
a
pumps,
matter of
you know,
price.
pumps are expensive and the tubes. I noticed the tubes are getting pretty deteriorated, so you basically replace those in the pumps. But that's just an example of something that could happen.
That's
The
all.
aerators we had, we actually took the aerators out of the old basin when we, made the plant smaller, actually where it fit. We used the old aerators, which they're working good. But I mean, I have to take them out periodically and send them off and have them rewound and put them back in. It'd be a good thing down the road to go to a newer type aeration system. That's something we talked about when we done that, but that was just a savings at the time. And that's just things that you need to keep proactive in trying to do. We have another basin that, you know, we had too large a plant at one time. So we never could stay in compliance with dinner, so they made the plant smaller where you can stay in compliance. Well, this probably never would happen, let's say a cornet or something like that, just so happens to come in here and we need to make the plant bigger. Now the plant is retrofitted where all we have to do is go to the other basin to make it bigger, but there's gonna be a cost to that.
And we've got the same amount of money, whether we have $580,000, or whether we have 400 and we can borrow 180,000. It's the same, adds up to the same amount of money.
Yeah, we just moved it from this line to that.
We're talking about.
And the other thing is, nobody has a clue what's gonna happen apparently. We kicked it around 2 or 3 times already, that's great. And how much you need to set aside, and you don't know how much you're gonna get in grants. I mean, historically, grants have paid
It
well.
has, we've been very
Been very fortunate.
blessed and been able to leverage a lot of our money very nicely. I'm scared with everything that we're seeing from the actions of the General Assembly. That's pretty much gonna be, you guys are on your own. You guys are going forward, so, which kind of indicates.
Gary, you're on. I get it.
Well, I don't wanna spend unnecessarily just to offset depreciation, you know, I mean, you've always been so conservative with the funds, you know, in a positive way. And, you know, but we have to address the issue. And, I would hope that if the LGC saw us moving in the right direction, even though, you know, we weren't in the positive on both. And I realize a lot of this is accounting speak, you know, and you gotta deal with accounting speak, but, you know, I would think if we, you know, kind of continue with the plan, as far as line replacement, rehabs and all of those, then we are prepared with our fund balance, should we have an unusual expense. But I think we have to look at small incremental increases in order to maintain that.
So what do you think?
Well, 3% was what, $1?
$1.15.
I'd be willing to pay $1. You know, that's nothing. As far as, you know, knowing that it's
Is
gonna
that for base service?
be, yeah, that's,
Well, we've always just done it in basically raising up the base rate and the volumetric rate, the same percentage.
So I'm getting at, it sounds like it's more than $1.
Then you said you spent $32, you paid
It
33.
was 7.5 increase was another $2.27 a month. So I figured with $3, we take it. Or
Is that on the
30%
base rate or average use?
That's an average user. Yes, sir.
So about 1,000 gallons.
so you're less.
$1.10, $1.15, somewhere in there.
And, still looking around what other people in the area are paying, it's still, it's $38 compared to, roughly $31.
What percent increase would it take just to cover the increase in utility costs over the past 2 years? Earlier I had that, you listed how much it went up last year, how much it was supposed to go up next year.
No, but you really got like chemicals.
Yeah.
And everything else is going up.
Because looking at, in 2011, 12, we spent about 70, almost 79. We're looking at spending close to 79 this year, and next we're budgeting about 88. That's $9,000. It would take about 1% and 1% a quarter. Just for that, every percent's about $6,800. And then,
So you're basically figuring on the full rate request for the utility.
and we'll see how it gets kicked back. Because initially was planning to go into effect, and it's getting reviewed again. So outside, since it got approved once, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Looking for the best, but prepared for the worst.
I don't think it'd be that much, but my crystal ball's maybe like that is. If we're going to seriously consider increasing rates, I'd sort of feel better about it if we had a justification. If we would spell out, okay, utilities have gone up this much, chemicals, supplies have gone up this much,
Well, with,
rather than say, like,
okay,
6%, 3%, whatever.
sure,
What's the contract with the bank operator?
that's, yeah, if you look down there at, 124 versus the 121, so I think it's about 3% of the hydro management fee, or $3,000 of the hydro management fees. Yeah. And then also on the department supplies. Let's put that all down.
I know it's, for us, cost of living index for this past year's 2.7% in South Carolina. I don't know what it was.
No, I can go ahead and pull up the contract now, and we can get an idea between the utilities and the service fee. I'll grab that real quickly, that should be a relatively defensible position.
I sort of favor the 2% versus the 3%. Until we get more information.
I'd much rather be able to say we had to increase rates because of utilities, supplies, whatever, rather than saying, well, we're using the full accrual method. The state says we need more money to save the county. Who understands that?
Not accountant. It's not the only person. And maybe some of them, like me.
Well, I agree with you. I think anytime we, increase, we have to have justification. And in this case, I think we do, because it's in numbers. I think the amount is debatable. But it is costing X dollars to provide the service.
I left that budget in the car, so I can't look at the numbers, you know, I'm just thinking if inflation overall is at 2.7, most everything's going to go up by that, but if indeed we have something that's constant, take it out of that, as it would be a good estimate. And then we have to look at what North Carolina's inflationary index is versus South Carolina's.
About $3,700 annually. So, about 37 combined with the roughly 9 utilities. So that's 12, you know, about
That's
a little bit under,
8%.
a little bit under 2%. Like I said, that'd show us, you know, that it would send a good message to consumers that, hey, you know, it does cost more, costs are going up. Send a message to the OLGC that, hey, we're looking at it. And, you know, we're still looking at, you know, how we could, what changes we can make internally to save some more money because where we want to be.
Mr. Chair, just to let my opinion be known, I will support us paying off the debt that we have, realizing that if something comes up, that we're going to either have to take it out of the fund balance of the sewer fund, or take it out of the town's fund balance to cover it, that if we got an emergency, we gotta do it. And then I would support a 2% increase.
And would you'd want to pay off the loan in 13, 14 rather than, we could do it this year.
This year.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be, okay.
Pay it off this year. If something comes up, it's the same money, we can put it back over there to cover a repair. But otherwise, the sewer fund doesn't owe the city any money, and so it just takes those two transactions out of the ledger.
And even though it is just a ledger item, to me, it makes our case with the state much stronger. 2 years ago, we paid off $170,000 a year loan. This year, we paid off $157,000 loan.
I think psychologically for us, it needs some, to say we're debt free on this in the sewer fund.
Well, we used to have 2 other debts.
But they're getting it.
Yeah, they're all,
Hey, he's correcting me on
Yeah.
this. So debt free, we're almost debt free.
Yeah. But
So maybe we can pay them off next year. Then we
one of,
can,
well, one of them's a no interest loan. So
we may not want to pay.
Well,
Who is that with?
State revolving fund, I believe.
No, we don't want to pay that. Never.
We'll never get down to that. Then the other one was the deer loan, another 2.2% interest.
Well, given that you can't get to those two, it's that same way a year from now, you don't pay it.
well, will those be paid off next year?
In 15, 16 is when we finish paying off if you look on the top section is the sewer fund. We'll make that last $16,000 payment on the no interest loan. in 14.
But I agree, yeah.
Okay. So, any other thoughts?
I like to hear, what everybody else said.
The 2% increase, $10 million again, but was 115.
As far as from an average user?
Yeah.
2% would be about a third of that, so about 30, about 75, 80 cents.
Because of 3%, I think 3% is
what I
$1.15.
You know, if your bill was $100 a month, it'd go up $2.
Paying off loans, that's what it is. increase, but, I looked back a while ago to see the new power increase and all the other utilities, and that's gonna be justifiable, I think.
It's fast, so.
And, I said last month, I supported the 2%. Certainly have a change of opinion, and I certainly agree with Christie. The last thing we ever need to let happen again is get the position we were in 4 years ago, where we have to increase rate 8.5% 1 year.
And all
But
this,
it sounds like everything going forward is gonna get more and more positive.
the key for us coming out of this is volume, increased volumes. And so hopefully as the economy improves, there'll be some more water consumption. But it's not going, I don't see that coming back immediately. Because we need another dime in chemistry. And I can talk to them.
That's satellite operation, right?
Understand what we have to commute, so.
And I guess the one other thing, looking at the original changes to the May 6th draft, we can all just make sure that we're about that's right. Rather than going, we're just gonna increase it by 2%, increase the rates by 2%. We're gonna take the sludge disposal down just to the one disposal and hope we can get by with that. We need to do that. And then under the capital outlay, there's nothing listed there right now. I'm just gonna put in $63,000 worth of bar stream that's gonna live over from this year into next year. And all that's gonna do is basically reduce our future appropriations line and just balance it out from there.
If you purchase that, have you done a purchase
We
order?
didn't purchase order vacuum.
So it'll be a carry forward, and it's carried forward
Because we-
expense.
Because we won't be able to get it in, we won't have possession as of June 30, we basically have to re-budget it. But it's gonna reduce our cash out, it's gonna reduce our expenses this year. And, it'll just, or reduce our expenditure this year.
So you'll have a different fund line.
Well, yeah, we'll look better this year on the budgetary accrual basis. And it's gonna be a wash on the full accrual
But
basis.
we'll have, that will be a temporary increase in fund balance.
Yes, sir. That's gonna
That we
be,
can then go back and budget later.
yes, sir. Okay.
So you're okay,